coffee. Look it up.
I want to get some coffee. You want some coffee? No, thank you. I'm fine.
And the best sports talk in Acadiana. 103.3 The GOAT.
The rumors are true.
People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Dave Schultz and SportsChat are back.
I'm back, baby! I'm back!
One change, though.
I'm sorry, that deal's now off the table.
What?
We live in a different world than we did just 30 seconds ago.
Instead of waking you up, he's taking you home from work.
Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? I'd like that.
Talking Cajuns, Tigers, Saints, all of it.
I am your father.
Buckle up, Acadiana.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
It's time for Sports Chat with Dave Schultz on 103.3 The GOAT.
Living with my eyes closed, going day to day. I never knew the difference. I never cared either way. Looking for a reason, searching for a sign, reaching out with both hands. I gotta feel the kick inside.
On a fired up Friday afternoon sports chat, 103.3 The GOAT. It has been quite the show already. Special thanks to Lacey Prejean, the former Ragin Cajuns assistant softball coach. She's headed to Northwestern State. She hopped on. Lisa Horn from Pigskin Grind talking Pac-12 football. Will there be a Pac-12 come, September 2nd? Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints, showing off, doing 2 shows in one day. Not a whole lot of competition down there. I mean, a lot of the positions are already set. The big news is Trey Turner, unfortunately, injured his quad and is out for the year. Luke Creasy, beat writer for Marshall, Thundering Herd. He talked about, he writes for the Herald Dispatch, and he talked about the Marshall Thundering Herd. At 5:30, we will talk with Brendan Tobin from Tapped Out. I think it's Bet HQ. Let me see what it is. Hold on. Let's see what we got here. It is BetQL. All right, there you go. We'll talk UFC 291. We did want to preview that. But right now, let's continue. One more interview from the Sunbelt Media Days. They are the defending Sunbelt East champions, the JMU Dukes, James Madison. Unfortunately, they can no longer go once again to the Sunbelt Championship game or a bowl game. So it's their regular season. This was one of the more interesting interviews. A little bit funny in the middle of it. So here it is. He is the head coach of JMU, Kurt Signetti.
Dave Schultz back at Sunbelt Media Days on a Wednesday afternoon sports chat, 103.3 The GOAT, all powered by Lafayette Roofing and Dwight Andrus Insurance, a division of Hub International. We're here with the coach of the defending Eastern Division Sunbelt champion, JMU Dukes. He is Kurt Signetti. That was quite the year you guys had last year.
Yeah, by a lot of people's accounts, it probably was. I think we could have won 10, but that's how coaches think. We got a lot of people's attention. I don't think it surprised anybody in our program. Our guys are used to winning at a high level. 7 of the last 8 conference championships, 48-3 at home last 7 years, and we were good. And you just didn't know what the gap was. I think what we learned was we had to prepare at a high level week in, week out, and play well week in, week out, which caught up to us. But I guess it was a good start. It means nothing now. Here we go. We're number 1 rated, but we're used to that. That means nothing also. That'll be determined on the field. But we're not going to sneak up on anyone, and the target on our back probably got a little bigger.
Well, I mean, I think the times you stubbed your toe, it was because you were the backup quarterback. Todd Centeio was banged up a little bit, and that's basically a couple of losses were contributed to that.
Well, that's a nice excuse.
Well, in my book, I'm actually a reason. That's a reason. Otherwise, the other guy would have been the starting quarterback.
This is true.
I got him to laugh. That's all I really care about. He's Curt Cignetti with JMU. All right, so let's go there. Who's going to be the starting quarterback?
I don't know. Every year that we've been together at JMU, going into year 5, offense has led the conference in scoring, and quarterback's been player of the year in the conference. Last year at this time, I didn't know. And Todd stepped up, was the man. Got Jordan McLeod, has started 19 FBS games, started as a freshman at USF, was there 2 years, went to Arizona, started, got hurt. They brought a different transfer in. The next year he left, he's with us now. He's got 2 years of eligibility. Alonzo Barnett is a talented young guy that's gone through 2 spring balls and 1 fall, and it's probably one of those 2. You can't work 4 quarterbacks in fall camp. We tried to in the spring a little bit, so we'll see.
And when do you as a coach, forget about when I find out or the media or the fans find out, when do you as a coach like to have that answer? Obviously, you'd like it heading into the camp, but when do generally you like to be ready with that starting quarterback?
When it's obvious. I think we knew before the midway point of fall camp that Toddy was going to be the quarterback last year, but we never announced it. Sure. We announced it 40 minutes before kickoff of the opener. Like, why announce it?
Yeah, but the team knew. Whether we find out, yeah.
And hopefully the team will know here, too. Right. And when they know, there's not a decision to be made. I don't want to have to make a decision. I want the decision to be made on the field and everybody knows, right? Right. Hopefully we get to that point.
We're talking to Curt Cignetti, head coach of the JMU Dukes. So are you a classic rock and roll fan? As you said, you're not sneaking up on anybody. So we're going all who. The Sun Belt is not getting fooled again. Instead of being picked 6th, you were picked 1st.
Fact.
That you like the who?
Good group.
All right, so does it matter that you said it doesn't matter that you were picked 1st, but I mean, there's got to be a little shoulders back that, we went from 6th, we did win the division, and you guys are picked to repeat.
Well, we're used to being picked 1st, and people didn't know who we were last year, but I don't know who we are this year. And those things, we had a nice spring, a nice summer. We got to have a great camp. And then we're going to have to overcome some obstacles, handle success, handle failure, be able to play a full football game, put all 3 phases together, develop players. Some players are going to need to step up, develop roles, get guys to accept roles. Those are all the challenges of football. And our schedule is significantly tougher this year than last year. We got 12 games. Last year we had 11. Last year we had 2 off weeks. That helped us. This year we got 1. We go on the road, games 2, 3, and 4, at Virginia, at Troy, at Utah State, and come home to South Alabama. That's a challenge. But we'll handle that 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time.
That's a little bit of a gauntlet. All right, Dave Schultz back on a Wednesday afternoon sports chat with the head coach of the JMU Dukes, Curt Cignetti. All right, where do you think you have to get better this year compared to last year?
Well, I don't look at it like that. I look at what do we have to do to be the best we can be on a daily basis. What do we have to do today, tomorrow, and then the next day, right? I guess you could go back, if you like history, and say they had some bad plays on special teams. They gave up some explosive plays to Georgia Southern and some other teams also. They turned the ball over too much on offense. I think all those would be fair and have to be improved upon.
All right, you said one of the things that coaches always say, you got to play a full 60 minutes. I find that to be difficult because the other team is trying to play a full 60 minutes. It's not golf. It's not swimming. There is a defense. Someone is trying to stop you from playing that. How do you go about, when you say trying to play a full game, but the other team's trying to stop you, how do you go about trying to do that?
Yeah, well, we're not result-oriented. We're more process-oriented. So we try to play 1 play at a time, 6 seconds a play. Every play's got a life and a history of its own. Play fast, physical, relentless, do your job, on to the next play, regardless of whether there was success or failure. Don't be affected by success and don't be affected by failure. If you can buy into that sort of compartmentalization and be in the here and now and doing your job, 11 guys doing their job is not addition, it's multiplication. Then at the end of the game, when the chips are down, you're not looking at the scoreboard, you're just doing your thing.
And how long does it take a quarterback, or, we say quarterbacks have to have short memories, they have a bad player. A cornerback also has to have a short memory. How long does it take guys to buy into that philosophy?
Well, that's my job to get them to buy in, whether they can buy in or not, or how well I do. And some guys learn it quicker than others. And I would say some guys are not affected by success or failure very much. And then some guys are affected a whole heck of a lot. And the more mature you are, the less you're affected.
And how do you treat the guys differently when that's the case?
Hopefully he's not on the trip or he's on the pine.
Kurt Signetti, JMU, he is not afraid to be straightforward and direct, and we appreciate that for him. All right, what did you find out about the Sun Belt that you did not know about at this time last year?
It's a great league. It's got a great future, top to bottom. Anybody can win on any given day. You look at the East, you can make a strong case for at least 5-6 teams to win a championship. And I think it's only going to get better and better.
It doesn't seem in years past, there was always a couple of games that you could mark off. That's going to be a win. You really can't do that now. And the two teams that maybe you can do it with have these incoming, potentially explosive offenses that I would think would, make any head coach nervous.
Yeah, you got to play. You got to prepare well and you got to play well. And, at the end of the day, being able to win a line of scrimmage really helps because it's a game you do play with your pads on. It's hard to out-trick everybody or be so fancy and win over the long haul, put too much pressure on your quarterback. So the ability to win a line of scrimmage on offense and defense, those teams are going to be successful.
We're talking with Kurt Signetti on a Wednesday afternoon sports chat, 103.3 The GOAT, the head coach of the JMU Dukes. Is there any time in the game where you're thinking we got this or we're a little bit in trouble, we have to adjust? How long does that take you to get the feel of the game?
Well, I think play in, play out, the circumstances of the game change, and you're always just trying to stay on top of situations so you can make good decisions, whether to go for it on fourth down or punt or, so on and so forth. There's probably points in the game when you win decidedly that you realize you got this game. And then you're deciding whether to keep playing or whether to, eat that clock. And then there's times when things aren't going so well. And you're just making sure there's no panic or frustration anywhere with your staff first and players second so that you can get back on track.
A lot of times fans and media and maybe players, we see the end of the game, and that's the end result of this play was made, that play wasn't made, the call was made. But a lot of times these games are decided in the second and third quarter instead of going up 2 scores, instead of falling behind 2 scores. If you get a stop, if you get the turnover, those are the times the game is decided, although at the end everybody remembers that because that's when the game was over. How do you play well around with that?
I really have no idea what you're talking about.
But I mean, if you have
one play that leads to the next play, which leads to a set of circumstances, right? Momentum is a big factor in games, but I think what you're saying, I actually,
well, let's give it.
I actually do know what you're saying.
All right, well, I appreciate the hard time.
Is there are probably 6 plays in a game that are very pivotal in the outcome of the game, and
not necessarily at the end.
Correct. That's right. And there's no doubt about it. And so first, before you can win the game, you got to make sure you don't lose the game. So you can't turn the ball over, make big-time special teams mistakes. Then to win the game, winning a line of scrimmage, which I mentioned, but then those explosive plays those skill guys make are really important. And you got to be good in situations. Red area, third down, end of the half, end of the game, etc.
All right, let's wrap it up with Kurt Signetti, head coach of the JMU Dukes. Again, for whatever ridiculous reason, and maybe you can explain to me why JMU cannot go bowling. You can't win the conference, even though you've been picked for it. Is there an explanation on why that's the case? What is that rule? Who decided the rule? I don't understand the rule.
Well, I was kind of asked to soft shoe this one, so.
Well, soft shoe it, whatever you were told.
This is a rule that went into effect a long time ago when you had the 1AA teams moving up, and what they would do is they would schedule half 1AA teams and half FBS teams, and they would get the 85 scholarships over a 2-year period. Well, we were the first team to ever go right to 85 and play a full FBS schedule. We were optimistic that if we filed a waiver that it would win and we would be eligible for those things this year. However, we did not win and went the other way. Now, whether the NCAA had their hands full with a number of other topics, right?
See, that's soft shoeing it right there.
Yeah, I'm sure that was part of it, and but we'll be okay.
And so what keeps I guess the division title is what keeps you and the guys motivated.
Right. We still can win every game. Right. We still can win more games than any team in the Sun Belt. And we can still win more games than any team in the Sun Belt East.
And then you guys can be set up, raring to go in 2024 when the playoff teams are expanded to 12.
Correct.
Big smile from Kurt Signetti, head coach of the JMU Dukes. Always great to visit with him. Best of luck, Coach. Thanks for stopping by on a Wednesday afternoon Sports Chat 103.3 The GOAT.
Thanks, man.
All right, obviously the coach giving me a hard time. Just, a lot of times games are not decided at the end, although it appears that way, right? You can go up by 2 scores. You can get a stop or not get a stop in the second quarter. And like he said, that leads to the next play that leads to the next play. You can be 17-3 or, have a holding penalty and a touchdown called back and you miss a field goal. So things like that. All right, we have lines from Circa Sports. Week 0 and Week 1 lines are out. We will go over them next. At the bottom of the hour, Brendan Tobin from BetQL will talk a little UFC 291. Our guy, Dustin Poirier, is fighting.
Go on, go on.
And so we will talk to him about 291. I'll go over the lines that Circa put out on Twitter when we come back. I need to do more research, and maybe somebody out there can help me on which teams we like. Because I don't like necessarily betting on well-known teams. Put it that way. All right. Top 25 teams. All right, back after this. Dave Schultz. No Linden tonight. We're surviving. The Fired Up Friday afternoon Sports Chat on 103.3. There you go.
I cannot lie from you. I cannot hide. I'm losing the will to try. Can't hide it. Can't fight it. So go on. Come on, leave me breathless. Tease me till I can't deny this love and feeling. Make me long for your kiss. So yeah, come on.
It's a good thing goats have 4 stomachs. Otherwise, there's no way we could swallow some of these takes.
Hey, Goat, what's going on out there?
103.3 The GOAT, the greatest sports talk of all time.
The following businesses proudly support the broadcast of UL Athletics on 103.3 The GOAT, 1420 AM, and News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Fisher Early Childhood Development Center,
M&D Industries,
Ernie Insurance,
and Roy Motors. Support these businesses that support Ragin Cajun broadcast and bring all the action into your homes, cars, smart speakers, or wherever you work all season long.
If your business would like to join the winning team and support the broadcast of UL Athletics by becoming a UL broadcast booster, contact Pam Begno by calling 337-233-6000.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Welcome back to Total Wine.
Hey, Ruthie, I need help filling the ultimate beach cooler.
Well, we have the most hard seltzers and amazing canned cocktails anywhere, and at the lowest prices in town. Always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, be 21.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I want to share with you the experience of Donna in Washington. She writes, I got injured about 5 years ago. I was let go when, because of the injury, I couldn't keep up with my schedule. I've tried to find other work, but I'm 68 now. No one wants to hire someone that old. This week is tough, though, because I had to get my tooth fixed. So I only have $10 in my checking account. But it will be okay. I at least have food because of this pantry. Millions of people face hunger. Some every day, just like Donna. The Feeding America network of food banks helps provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Every second counts in a poison emergency. That's why Poison Help is standing by 24/7 to provide free assistance in over 100 languages. Save Poison Help as a contact in your phone today. Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222.
Mess with the goat. You'll get the horns, then the butt. Because that's what goats do. 103.3, The Goat.
Dave Schultz back on a fired up Friday afternoon sports chat. 103.3 The Goat. Less than 40 minutes until the weekend. And we got some lines for the first weeks of college football. I am not one to necessarily bet on, LSU, Florida State. I've done that a couple of years now. I bet on LSU, UCLA. I bet on LSU, Florida State. I've lost them both. I don't like coin flips. And I think, honestly, LSU can beat Florida State, but I think that's a coin flip. But some of these teams last year, my goodness, Tulane, 12-2 against the spread. Oregon State, 11-2 against the spread. Troy, 11-3 against the spread. Southern Miss, 10-3 against the spread. Tennessee, 10-3 against the spread. Let's see where, Georgia was. Doesn't look like Georgia was covering. LSU was 8-6 against the spread. Do I not see Georgia? Michigan was 8-5-1. I don't see Alabama either. See, just because they're really good doesn't mean they necessarily cover the spread. The Cajuns 7-6 last year. My Orange 7-6 last year. Georgia was 8-7. It appears Alabama was under 500 covering the spread, or 6-1. So just, because they have those big lines and sometimes they don't cover. So let's look at some of these ball games. Obviously, local interest as well. Let's see. LSU is a 2-point favorite. Not basically. They are on the road. It's a neutral site game, but it's a lot closer to Tallahassee than it is Baton Rouge. The Cajuns are not listed because it's Northwestern State. You may be able to find that on an app somewhere closer to the game. Tulane is a 7-point favorite over South Alabama. I think that is high. I also think there's really good value in the South Alabama. Being a little bit of a homer, I get it, which may not work for me here in Lafayette, but Tulane's like a minus 250 to win the game. South Alabama is plus 215. South Alabama very could well win that football game. All right, so I need like an under-the-radar team, if you will. You got these big lines out there. USC is 38-point spread over Nevada. A&M is 38 points over New Mexico. Auburn is a 40-point spread over UMass. My goodness. One of the other bigger ball games, there's a couple big ball games, right? We talked about LSU, Florida State. You got Carolina. The Carolinas playing each other in Charlotte, North Carolina. A 3-point favorite in Charlotte against South Carolina. You have Florida going on the road. They beat Utah last year, but now the Gators are an 8-point favorite. The Gators are an 8-point underdog on the road. How about Vanderbilt? When was the last time Vanderbilt was almost a 3-touchdown favorite. Vanderbilt is minus 18 at home against Hawaii. Minus 18 at home against Hawaii. UConn is a 16-point home underdog, it appears, against NC State. I don't know a whole lot about UConn coming into this season, but they ended up being better than a lot of people thought last year. NC State's breaking in a new quarterback. That may be a lot of points for the Wolfpack. USC is a 30-point favorite over San Jose State. La Tech, a 9-point favorite over FIU. I guess even, how about this one? UMass actually is playing a ball game before they play Auburn. So they're a 7-point underdog against New Mexico State. And Hawaii has a ball game before they take on, or maybe that's after. That's after Vanderbilt. That Vanderbilt is first. Then they play Stanford. And that's at home. They're a 9-point underdog at home. Michigan, 35-point favorite at home against East Carolina. Oklahoma, 34-point favorite against Arkansas State. Or like a Temple. Is that like a good bet? Like Temple's minus 11 against Akron. Because some of these teams, and some of these conferences are really good and then others are really bad. Kentucky, a 26-point favorite against Ball State. We will have Bruce Marshall on from Vegas Insiders, hopefully throughout the season, to help us gauge where we should be putting our money and our bets towards. I used to wait. These things used to come out like Tuesday morning in the USA Today. Now they come out Sunday night. Right now, we don't have to wait at all for these lines. So it'll be interesting to see if these changes. I need to screen, take a picture of the screen here to see if the lines change moving forward. Buffalo coming down here to take on the Cajuns. They're a 24-point underdog against Wisconsin. All right, and here's the one. Iowa is 24-point favorites against Utah State. First of all, Iowa can't score 24 points. And let's see if we can find what Iowa was last year. See how many times Iowa covered. Let me see here. Show Big Ten. Let's see Iowa. Iowa was 8-5 against the spread. Michigan State 3-6-3 against the spread. So anything above 55% is good if you stick with one team. But obviously, 75 to 80% would be better. But anything over 55 is pretty good. Again, Hawaii, we were talking about that. They're huge underdogs early on, 9-4 against the spread. Connecticut, they were an embarrassment of college football even beginning of last season, and they ended up in a bowl game. Jim Mora Jr.'s got them playing well, 9-4. You know who you want to watch out for? Duke. And they have an early season matchup with Clemson. And that's a couple of good young quarterbacks. And obviously Duke is supposed to be Clemson's a much better team. But Duke's got them at home, I think. And Duke is a 13-point underdog. That may be, watch out for my guy Riley Leonard for the Duke Blue Devils taking on, Corey Klubenik from Clemson. That could be an interesting ball game, but that's usually not one that I would bet. I just, I kind of like A&M against New Mexico. I kind of like the ones that are bigger lines. And then, can you find somebody like UCF is a 34-point favorite over Kent State. Gus Malzahn and company is Kent State really that bad? Maybe they are. All right, let's take a timeout. We're a little bit behind. We will bring on Brendan Tobin from BetQL. Got a show out, Tapped Out. Also a host on WQAM in Miami. I've had two guys from QAM here the last couple of weeks. We'll talk UFC 291 as our guy, Dustin Poirier, is fighting. Back after this. Dave Schultz. Solo. Somehow we survived. On 103.3, The Go.
intelligent sports talk? Sounds like you need a little Gatorade. 103.3 The GOAT. The greatest sports talk of all time.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-885-5959. That's 1-800-885-5959. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-885-5959.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Dan Hicks with Paul Azinger, welcoming you back to the Healthy Stand Classic. And Zing, she has been absolutely tremendous today, but it all comes down to this shot.
It does, Dan, and you couldn't ask for better conditions. 68 degrees, just a slight 2-mile-an-hour breeze, and a UV index of 3. This is absolutely critical.
That is right. This direct exposure to midday sun could be increasing her risk to melanoma.
It looks like she's making a change.
Yeah, she's putting that putter back in the bag. Now let's see what she takes out.
Oh, wow. Looks like she's pulling out a 15.
I don't know. Looks like she's going with a 30.
Strong choice. She's going to want to use the recommended SPF 30 even on a cloudy day.
And notice how she's using broad spectrum sunscreen.
And a generous amount, too.
Incredible.
That was a masterful performance.
That was pretty good, too.
Stand Up to Cancer and Optum want to help you reduce your risk for cancer. Visit takeahealthystand.org.
If it wasn't for goats, we wouldn't have coffee. Look it up.
Come on, get some coffee. You want some coffee? No, thank you. I'm fine.
And the best sports talk in Acadiana. 103.3 The GOAT.
Dave Schultz going solo today. Lyndon in Austin. Somehow we survived. All right. A few more segments here on a Fired Up Friday afternoon sports chat. Our guy, Dustin Poirier, is fighting in UFC 291. We bring in Brendan Tobin from Tapped Out on BetQL. Also a host, I guess, middays at on WQAM, my former home. That's Brendan. I've gotten two guys from WQAM on in 2 weeks. I had not seen Zach Krantz, I'm going to guess, in about a decade when I ran into him at the SEC Media Days.
Yeah, Zach's hustling, man, at these coaches' media day. He is. He's traveling all over the place right now.
And Mr. Big Ten, I guess he's out there in Big Ten country.
Yep.
All right, your thoughts on UFC 291. I really thought that Dustin Poirier was going to hang it up a while ago, but he keeps on coming back, keeps on fighting, and I guess he's looking for one more go-around at a championship fight.
Yeah, and you know, I think this is probably I would say, his last crack at it, just because he is in so many wars. I mean, he's great at them. He doesn't lose a lot. You only have a couple of losses, and they were for the undisputed championship, and it's really the last thing that is on his resume that he has to get done. And this matchup's incredible. Him versus Justin Gaethje. These guys met a few years back, and as Dustin typically does when these are these crazy bang-out fights that takes for who can be more violent in a sport of just the craziest of people, he somehow just weathers the storm better than anybody. And so, he was able to finish Justin Gaethje in 4 rounds years ago when he just got into the UFC. Justin did. And, Dustin, I think this one, he probably goes in. He's the slight favorite going into this one. I think that's about right. It's just a matter of, as Justin Gaethje caught up with him at all since they last met.
So I'm no expert when it comes to UFC. I arrived in Lafayette just as Dustin was kind of moving on up, and he was fighting kind of the shooting star and took it on the chin, literally, from Conor McGregor, and it took him a little while to get going. But as someone from the untrained eye, like you said, not only does he take it well, but it just feels like his jab is so fast and so successful, and that's how, come the second and third and fourth rounds, he's able to really tire out his opponents, because that's what I see. His jab is really effective. Am I wrong on that?
No, I mean, he's really, it's funny for a guy who's in a lot of bloody fights. He really does have a method to his madness. He is really precise. I think he's arguably, the best just pure boxer in mixed martial arts. And a lot of that credit goes to him. A lot of that credit goes to the relationship he's had for a long time with Daya Davis, who is the owner of the Boca Boxing District here in South Florida. Those guys have had a long, tenure together. They've been through the ups, they've been through the downs. But, I was talking to Daya in the lead up to this fight, and he just says, we have just a cover. We break this thing all down to a science. I think the only thing they really are wondering going into this is it is in Salt Lake City, which is an altitude arena.
Sure.
So Dustin did go there early, and he was doing some methodical training in the altitude, because I don't know, Dave, down here in South Florida, it's so soupy. I don't know what it's like there with you right now, but it's like training under the sea. So you do have to adjust that. Even though Dustin's never been a guy with cardio issues, the best it's caught up with him. So I do like the fact that he's taken extra steps into this fight, because he knows there is a lot on the line. If he does win this fight, he's very likely going to fight for a championship probably early next year. So there's a lot on the line for Dustin in this one.
Yeah, it is awfully humid here, but that happens to all these athletes, right? You go, all the NBA guys, whether they're going into Salt Lake or they're going into Denver, that's always an issue to get used to it in the first quarter. When I was hearing about the NBA guys, I think it was Jay Williams saying it, you lose energy quickly. You get tired fast, and then you have to rebound. You get a second win, but if you're not used to it, it catches you quickly. And obviously, Dustin from Lafayette, training in South Florida, that could be a little bit of an issue, at least to start with.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if it's going to be an issue, because, again, he's never been a guy where cardio or gas tank has been an issue, but Justin trains in Denver, so that's just something he's used to going into it.
All right.
But I listen, these are just, you're splitting hairs. I think, one of the things you do in the fight game is, you're looking for any of the little edges, and because these guys, I think, are very, very close, it's one of those things you're just like, well, will it be a thing? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You don't know. But I think ultimately skill is the biggest thing, and I do think that Dustin does have a little bit more in his bag of tricks than Justin Gaethje does. His jiu-jitsu is pretty spot on. You saw his last fight against Michael Chandler, where they had a big back and forth. Dustin kind of outslugged him. Then it was a wrestling game. Then Dustin brought out the jiu-jitsu in round 3 to finish things up. So he's a very well-rounded fighter, where Justin, though he has a good wrestling background, we never see it. He's basically, there's 2 things you got to look out for. You got to look out for his kicks to the leg, which he always uses to try and debilitate his opponent. He even did it against Poirier the last time around. And Poirier is just such a monster, he can get through it. And then, he's just got very, very heavy hands, and he tries to really just break his opponents. But this is one of the guys where he's actually met his match over his career of guys who outslug him. There's only really one guy, because, Khabib is, the best. He's beaten both of these guys. That's why, he hung up undefeated, and he's maybe one of the best to ever do it. But as far as just like straight up toe-to-toe brawls, Justin Gaethje does not lose a lot of these. And the only guy who's really gotten the best of him in a war like that has been Dustin Poirier.
Talking to Brendan Tobin, host of Tapped Out on BetQL, also co-host of Tobin and Leroy on WQAM. I'm still thinking it should be 560 the Joe for Joe Rose. We're not going with that? No?
Listen, we still have the sign up. Crazy enough, the Joe sign is still up in the studio.
Nice.
We've not gotten a new one. The door got replaced, but Joe does still have that last trophy of it.
Outstanding. Well, Zach wanted it 560 the Zach or 560 the Krantz, but that didn't go over well, apparently. All right, so let's play along. Let's say Dustin does, win the fight. Who would he fight for that championship? Who holds it now, or what would they line up to be?
So he would be fighting likely the winner of Islam Makhachev, who has the belt currently, against Charles Oliveira. They're going to square off, I believe, in October. And, one of the things you always got to worry about these are, is there a rematch that would happen down the line? Now, these guys have fought before. So if Charles Oliveira were to win, then they'd likely fight a trilogy because then you need the rubber match. So maybe Dustin has to, either wait. Maybe he'll wait it out. Maybe he sees if one guy is injured. I don't know. If Islam Makhachev wins, then I think, the logical thing is Dustin will probably fight him, if I had to guess, February, March, something like that of 2024. That's probably when they would line up to do the fight again, which would be an interesting one because, Dustin's one of his cracks at the Undisputed title was against Khabib, who is kind of the mentor, the big brother to Islam before he retired, and Islam kind of took the throne. So the Dagestanis of Russia, they've kind of had a hold on this belt for a while outside of a small era there of Charles Oliveira having the belt, who also got the best of Dustin. So he's got to be licking his chops of the idea of, he gets past this, he gets a chance to either avenge the loss to Oliveira if there's not a trilogy fight, or get back and try and get as close to beating Khabib as beating Khabib would be, which is to beat his kind of protege.
All right, let's take advantage of Brendan Tobin doing his South Florida thing. Was there more news today, or was it the same old on Dame Lillard being traded to the Heat?
It was actually crazy enough. I just had seen on Twitter that the NBA had sent like a memo to 30 teams that they had done an investigation on Damian Lillard's agent because he had said he only wanted to come to the Miami Heat. They had talked to Damian Lillard. They had talked to his agent, Aaron Goodwin, who was on the record saying that, look, Damian's preferred destination is Miami. But I have not seen, and maybe I'm biased on this because I do root for the Heat. I do love the Heat. But I've never seen an outrage over a guy having a preferred destination like this. I guess not having the ruse of like a list of teams is getting some people upset about it. But the Heat went through this last year a little bit with Kevin Durant, where the Suns were always the favored team, were listed, but I think it was just kind of a courtesy list. They weren't really ever in the game. It was always going to be Kevin Durant wanted to go to the Suns. We saw this Anthony Davis. He only wanted to go to the Lakers. You guys know about that down in Louisiana.
Sure.
It was known. I want to go to the Lakers. I want to go to the Lakers. So now it's weird that all of a sudden we're seeing this thing with Dame, who is has as pristine an NBA reputation as anybody in the league has had his entire career. And, he's just honest about what he wants. And all of a sudden it's a huge problem. And I think the thing that's funny about it is between fit and assets the Heat can end up offering up, it's really not like they're going to fleece the Portland Trailblazers on this deal. They are going to end, the Heat are willing to give up a lot of picks for him and some good young players. The sticking point seems to be with everybody, Tyler Hero this, but whether they're going to keep him or they're not going to keep him, the Heat could either flip him for a pick that the Blazers would like, or they could have Tyler Hero, who is a really good young player. And especially, you see these monster salaries all over the place, Dave. Tyler Hero is almost making peanuts compared to what some of the other guys are making in this league now. Just kind of been in a holding pattern. It's going on 3 weeks now. And I think, eventually he will end up here. But it is weird, all of the other stuff around it, the outrage from teams, the posturing by Portland and the whole deal of it. So it has had more drama than I think the Heat maybe anticipated when they were brought up in all this.
All right, one more question. What are the expectations for the Dolphins? Because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks, really good ones, that do not make the playoffs in the AFC. Where are we with the Dolphins?
Oh, they're sky high. Like, make no mistake. I mean, South Florida sports has been riding on a bit of a high right now. Nobody's gotten over the edge to be in a championship. But, man, like, Panthers in the Stanley Cup, Heat in the finals. The Marlins have actually been playing pretty decent. You had two teams in the Final Four. But, as you know, Dave, being down here, like, the legacy team is the Dolphins. The team that has, like, the most fans, the most passed down from generation to generation is the Dolphins. And, they made the playoffs last year. They had, added stars with Jalen Ramsey, who did go down and might not be back now until November, December. So that was a bit of a blow yesterday. But with Ramsey, without Ramsey, the fan base's expectations are high. I mean, I think at the bare minimum, you have to win your first playoff game in 23 years. It's been too long since Lamar Smith. But, I think it's not even unfair to say, hey, this is a team that has been invested a lot. And I'm sure, yes, I agree. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that have huge expectations, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't. And the Dolphins had that around their facility that, Tua's talking Super Bowl. McDaniel is talking about this team and what the specialty could do. So I really think that it's not out of the realm of possibility to say, hey, you have to guys at least get to the conference championship to make all these big moves worth it. But I'd say at the bare minimum, they win a playoff game, unless I guess they end up against Patrick Mahomes and are like in a showdown, shootout. But I think just like, honestly, if you told me just Team X, yeah, the Dolphins, I think, have to win their first playoff game in nearly quarter of a century.
Yeah, I mean, Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Bengals, Ravens, Jaguars, Chiefs, Chargers. Someone's not making the playoffs out of that group right there. I think that was 8 teams.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a gauntlet. It is a gauntlet. And we're seeing, like, Joe Burrow goes down for several weeks with a calf strain. Like, that could sink the Bengals if he misses a month. Yeah. Like, it's such a hard gauntlet, this AFC. But, listen, fans don't want to hear it. If it's hard, if it's not hard, like, they want, they see all the big deals. They don't care. They want to see their team do things. And certainly – with everybody else here having a lot of success in town, they definitely want to see that with their Dolphins.
All right, so give me a pick. Let's wrap it up here with Brendan Tobin. Does Poirier pull this off? And you're talking to people in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Well, look, I'm a Poirier. He's like our adopted guy down here too, because he trains in Coconut Creek and has for a long time. So we love Dustin Poirier in South Florida. Really classy dude too. I mean, just A+ all around. And I happen to think he's, just an awesome fighter, Dave. So, yeah, I picked him on Tapped Out.
Okay.
In our preview this week, I picked him to win in round 3. I think he'll finish the job even earlier than he did last time around. I think that he is I think he knows that he's got almost a veteran savvy to him that he wants to get these fights done even faster because he doesn't get paid for overtime. And as you said, he's been in a lot of wars, and who knows how many more he's got in him. But I think he knows that the gold is very close, and this would be a huge one for him to get.
He co-hosts middays on 560 WQAM. He's Brendan Tobin. He hosts on BetQL Tapped Out, and we were talking UFC 291. Really appreciate your time, Brendan. Thank you so much.
Anytime, man.
All right. We will hold him to that. Anytime you say anytime, we will hold him to that. All right. Well, we made it. You know what? I just jinxed it. I got one more set block, and then we're good to go. All right. 6 guests tend to help out with that. All right, we put a bow on it. When we come back, Dave Schultz survives, barely, without Lyndon Burton. Back after this. 103.3 to go.
Here's another tip from Terrio Family Dental. Brushing and flossing after each meal to maintain your lovely smile is one of the easiest ways to improve your dental health. Brushing and flossing allow you to get rid of food and plaque that accumulates between teeth and gums. Brush your teeth and tongue for at least 2 minutes with a soft bristle toothbrush and fluoride toothpaste, and follow with some floss. And see your dentist at least twice a year. For more tips and advice from Terrio Family Dental, log on to this Town Square Media radio station's website.
The caring and friendly staff at Ontario Dental understands that going to the dentist for many people is no walk in the park and can be downright scary. That's the reason Ontario Dental offers sedation dentistry. Medication can be given prior to reduce anxiety, and they can provide nitrous oxide during the procedure. You can trust Ontario Dental to take the fear away and help you maintain a healthy and beautiful smile. See them at 121 Rue Louis XIV off College Saloon or their new location, 329 Iberia Street, Youngsville, or visit LafayetteLADentist.com.
Deodorant you use on your butt? You heard that right. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder of Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. It's time to summer-proof your body odor. Lumi's formula works everywhere. Pits, underboobs, and yep, butts too. All those places that naturally tend to get a little bit stinky when the weather gets hot. Lumi's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. That's 3 whole days of fresh fun in the sun. As an OBGYN, I met thousands of women looking for a better way to control odor below the belt. So I created Lumi, a pH-optimized, aluminum-free deodorant that actually works, with over 150,000 5-star reviews to prove it. Ready for your freshest summer ever? Head to LumiDeodorant.com to get started.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 23 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a free product of your choice and ships free with code 23. LumeDeodorant.com, code 23 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 23.
Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley welcoming you back to Susan's Cubicle here in Accounts Payable. What an afternoon of nonstop bookkeeping action, Charles. Are you kidding me? She set herself a reminder to get out of that chair and move.
That's a smart use of a timeout.
She's somehow still reading her emails while getting her heart rate up and moving her muscles. Healthy habits that could lower your risk of cancer.
Uh-oh, it's Karen from the IT department.
This is a wrinkle no one saw coming. She means well, but she just derailed the yoga class down in accounts receivable.
There she goes with one of her usual distractions.
But Susan just tosses her a no-look wave.
That's a crazy move.
Let's watch that again. She's stretching, and there's the effortless side wave.
Susan's putting on a clinic.
Susan from Accounts Payable. Dominating. Just get moving. It helps in the prevention of so many cancers.
Stand Up to Cancer and Optum want to help you reduce your risk for cancer. Visit takeahealthystand.org.
Thirsty for intelligent sports talk? Sounds like you need a little Gatorade. 103.3 The GOAT, the greatest sports talk of all time.
Oh, you're gonna take me home tonight. Oh, down beside that red firelight. Oh, you're gonna let it all hang out. Fat bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go round.
Words to live by. Dave Schultz on a Fired Up Friday afternoon Sports Chat. Quite the show. I didn't see anything on Twitter, although we had a bunch of guests, that there's been any movement per se when it comes to conference realignment. Not yet. Anyway, let's see. Let's go to Pete Thamel. He would be the one doing it. He was the one who reported it, so not yet. Heather Dinich is reporting Big 12 is looking to add one more to get to 14. So we shall see. That's where we are. It appears the holdup is Arizona. Maybe they want Arizona State, so then they need, instead of getting to 14, they need to get to 16 per se. And do they go get a Memphis? Do they take a Group of 5 school, or do they take Oregon? Who knows what the case is? On Locked On Sunbelt, suggested, different places that could go, and it's interesting. Some people commenting don't want, Western Kentucky, been there, done that. Same people, same thing around here in Louisiana, don't want anything to do with La Tech, and I think that would be a good fit. Now, some of these schools are in conferences that have more money than the Sun Belt, but what happens if the Big 12 takes some of them and you're left hanging with lesser of a conference? So who knows? But I presume we will get some more news maybe during the week or weekend. Next week, maybe. I don't think we're going to be waiting a long time to find out who is the 14th team that is going to go to the Big 12. And, you know, the Pac-12 is barely hanging on, right? They will give business classes on how to ruin a conference. And it has been pathetic from the TV deal to not taking the teams from the Big 12, and it has not gotten better. Whereas Brett Yormark, former, was he a Nets boss in the Big 12, looks really good right now. He's waiting on one more, and I think he's gonna get him. So we'll see. I'm not sure it's going to have any repercussions on the Sun Belt. We'll certainly keep an eye out. I'm sure Keith Gill is. He went from we're being okay on Tuesday at 10 to the news of Colorado going to the Big 12 Wednesday at 4, and we're just hit Friday, and we're already talking about a 14th team joining the Big 12. So we shall see how it goes. Also, Saturday down south, our guy Connor O'Gara suggesting Florida State wants out of the ACC. So where are they going to go? I do not know. All right, we had a tremendous show today. Thank you so much for listening. Lacey Prejean, former Cajuns softball coach, now with Northwestern State. Lisa Horn, Pigskin Grind, talking Pac-12. Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints. Luke Creasy from the Herald Dispatch, previewing the Marshall Thundering Herd. Kurt Signetti, head coach of JMU. And Brendan Tobin from WQAM and BetQL, plus Tim Haggerty and his book, Tales from the Dugout. Please, everybody, have a safe and fun weekend. Lyndon expected back on Monday, and so will I, for another edition of Sports Chat. Have a great weekend, everybody. Keep it tuned in to 103.3 The Goat.
Martinis 2023, Lafayette's absolute best martini competition and teeny tour to benefit Healing House Hope for Grieving Children is in full swing. This year, enjoy signature martinis at 8 local restaurants through August 15th. Enjoy a different restaurant's martini for $2 with the purchase of an entree on their featured Teeny Tuesday menu. Participating restaurants include Bonton Grill, Bonefish Grill, Fizzo's, Mercy Kitchen, Chops Mid-City Smokehouse, Tsunami, Vestal, and Walk-Ons. Purchase a Martinis a la Maison package and receive 2 hand-painted martini glasses, a signed print by this year's glass artist Candace Greer, and access to exciting online silent auction items. Visit healing-house.org for more information. Join us this Tuesday at Walk-Ons to try their absolute, very out-of-this-world martini. Martinis 2023, presented by Town Square Media, Moss Motors, Bourbon Royalty Candle Company, Advanced Piping, Linear Controls, Leading Home Care, and Delome Funeral Home.
Hey, it's me, Ruthie, from Total Wine & More. Our new lower prices on hundreds of wines are here to stay. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, be 21.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
ADHD. It's the child who can't pay attention or sit still in school, right? The answer may be yes. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, can be complicated and it can last a lifetime. Up to 75% of children and adolescents with ADHD have at least one additional mental disorder that requires a comprehensive approach to treatment. Learn more at moretoadhd.com. This message brought to you in partnership with ADA, ACO, and CHAD.
103.3 The GOAT.
Yeah, that's the one.
K277DQ Lafayette, 1420 KPEL Lafayette.